it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. In this ostensibly true account, a ranger from Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park described a disturbing experience during what began as a standard search and rescue mission. Ranger Koa and his partner Lani were sent to locate a missing family near Kīlauea, just as seismic activity around the volcano began to rise. At first everything seemed routine, but as they moved across the fresh lava fields, the environment grew increasingly strange. Their equipment malfunctioned, visibility dropped, and they began to notice signs that didn't make sense. What they encountered next has never been explained. I'm a park ranger at Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park. What we discovered there still haunts me. By page Tanner 627. Part 1. As the first light of dawn touches the rugged landscape of Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park, I stand among my fellow rangers at the base camp, the chill of the morning mingling with a sense of anticipation. My name's Koa. I'm a park ranger who's walked these trails and climbed these ridges more times than I can count. Today, though, the familiar terrain feels different, shadowed with uncertainty. Hey, Koa, you alright, bro? A voice asks, pulling me back to the present. I turn to see Lani, fellow ranger and my best friend since we were knee-high to a grasshopper. Lani's always been the kind of person who lights up a room, or in this case, the dense forest of the national park. Her hair, a cascade of dark brown curls, is pulled back into a practical ponytail. Her almost jet-black eyes, sharp and alert, missing nothing, scan me for any sign of distress. I nod, forcing a half smile. Yeah, you know me, sister. I'm solid. Just got a feeling, you know. My gaze drifts over the expanse of the park, the volcanic land that's part of my soul. Lani leans in, her voice lowering to a whisper. Yeah, I feel it too. Something's off today. For real? I ask. Yeah, this morning as I woke up I see... Her voice trailed off as she glances around, ensuring no one else is within earshot. She leans in so close I can hear the breath of her whisper. Yeah, I saw something weird by the old lava flow. Like shadows moving. Not normal. Before she can elaborate, Captain Corsero, a robust figure with years of experience etched into his weathered face, calls the team to attention. His gruff voice cuts through the morning chill. Standing tall and imposing, he gathers us in a semicircle. Yeah, listen up, everybody. He begins, his gravelly voice carrying through the crisp morning air. Last night, the Geological Survey detected unusual volcanic activities in Kīlauea. Increased seismic activity and gas emissions suggest that something's brewing beneath the surface. A collective murmur of concern ripples through the group. Mount Kīlauea, one of the most active volcanoes on Earth, is a sleeping giant that we respect and fear in equal measure. Looks like Pele is stirring, Lani mutters, referring to the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes and fire. Her tone is one of reverence. Well, there's more. The team leader continues. We got a missing persons report. Family of Howells. Woman named Sarah Jenkins and her two boys, young boys, Tyler and Ethan, went for a hike yesterday near the chain of Craters Road and haven't returned. Lani and I exchange glances. The chain of Craters Road area is vast and can be treacherous, even for seasoned professionals, let alone tourists from the mainland. It's our job to locate them, Corsero says. We'll split into teams to cover more ground. He unfolds a map pointing to various locations. We all huddle around to study the map. Saito, he calls out, staring at me. You're with Lennox. He shifts his gaze to Lani then. Start at Kalapana Trail and work your way north. Keep your radios on and report anything out of the ordinary. As Corsero's orders sink in, a flurry of activity erupts among the rangers. The normally serene morning at the park transforms into a hive of focused energy. Each ranger, aware of the gravity of the situation, springs into action. I turn to gather my equipment. As a seasoned tracker, my backpack is filled with essentials: a GPS, a detailed topographical map of the park, high-powered binoculars, and various other tools for navigating and surviving in rugged terrain, including a chainsaw for creating fire breaks. Beside me, Lani, a skilled technical rescue expert, meticulously checks her gear, ensuring that everything is in perfect condition for whatever complex rescue scenarios we might encounter in the park's challenging terrain. Her bag is filled with specialized equipment: ropes, pulleys, carabiners, and safety harnesses. As I strap my boots tightly, ensuring they're a fit, I glance at Lani. She catches my eye, offering a nod of solidarity. "Oh, what do you think, Koa?" she asks quietly, her voice tinged with the unspoken worry we all feel. "You reckon we'll find them?" I pause at this, adjusting the strap of my pack. In moments like these, it's not just about what you say, but how you say it. Confidence can be as contagious as fear in these situations. "You forget who you're talking to, eh?" I say with a half smirk, trying to lighten the mood. "I'm the best tracker on the Big Island. If they're out there, we'll find them." She gives a small laugh, the tension in her shoulders easing ever so slightly. "That's what I like to hear. Let's bring them home." The early morning light filters through the dense canopy as we load the Land Rover, casting a soft glow on the rugged terrain of the park. The engine roars to life and we head towards the search area. As I navigate the familiar route towards the Kalapana Trail, the connection I feel to this land pulsates through me. This place, with its rugged beauty and untamed wilderness, has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. It's more than just a job. It's a calling, a deep-rooted bond with the land that nurtures and challenges me in equal measure. Lani, sitting beside me, is lost in her own thoughts as we pass our old stomping grounds. Growing up, we spent countless summers exploring the hidden corners of this paradise, from diving into the crystal-clear waters of hidden coves to racing each other up the ancient lava trails. The closer we get to the base of Kīlauea, the more evident the signs of recent volcanic activity become. Thin wisps of steam rise from cracks in the ground, a stark reminder of the raw power beneath our feet. "Oh, look at that," Lani murmurs, her eyes fixed on a newly formed fissure, its edges blackened and sharp. The earth here seems alive, breathing and shifting with a life of its own. The beauty of it is both mesmerizing and unsettling. I pull the vehicle over, and we step out cautiously, scanning the area. The ground feels unusually warm under our boots. "This wasn't here last week," I note, my voice low. The fresh lava flow, now solidified, creates an eerie undulating terrain that stretches toward the horizon. We proceed with increased vigilance, knowing the volcanic activity could pose a hazard not just to the missing family but also to us. Paths that were safe yesterday might not be today. Our eyes scour every inch of the terrain, searching for any clue that might lead us to the missing family. The silence is heavy, broken only by the occasional crackle of our radios and the distant rumble of the volcano. Suddenly I spot something unusual in the distance. It's a small dark object, partially obscured by the rough, newly solidified lava. "Hey, over there," I gestured to Lani, pointing towards the object. Reaching the spot, a chill runs down my spine. It's a camera half buried in the hardened lava. The lens is melted, warped by the intense heat, but the body of the camera is mostly intact. It's disturbing evidence that the family we're looking for might have been caught in the lava flow. Moving cautiously over the rough terrain, we soon come across more signs of the family's presence. A torn piece of a map flutters against a jagged rock, and an aluminum water bottle, its logo partially melted, lies discarded nearby. Lani kneels down, her hands carefully sifting through the ash and debris. The somber mood intensifies as she uncovers a small backpack, partially buried and singed at the edges. It's a vivid red against the monochrome landscape of black and grey. Oh, my heart sinks a bit more with each brush of her hand, revealing the harsh reality of our mission. She looks up at me, her eyes reflecting sorrow. "It's one of the kids' backpacks," she says quietly, holding it up. The name Ethan is embroidered in bold letters on the back. I crouch beside Lani, examining the backpack. Inside there are remnants of a child's adventure, a crumbled map of the park, a small toy car, and a half-eaten snack bar. And everything is coated with a thin layer of ash. Lani carefully logs the coordinates of our discovery on the GPS. She then radios back to base, her voice steady but tinged with the gravity of our find. "Base, this is Ranger Lennox. We found some items belonging to the missing family near a new lava flow. We're going to continue searching the area." As she communicates with the base, can't shake a gut feeling that there's more to this. I decide to extend our search perimeter. The landscape around us is treacherous, a labyrinth of hardened lava and jagged rocks. Despite the weight of what we've already discovered, something urges me on. It's just a hunch, but hunches have always served me well in the past. The air is thick with the heat emanating from the ground, and the smell of sulfur hangs heavily around us. It's a surreal landscape, one that's both beautiful and brutal in its raw natural power. And then I see something that stops me in my tracks. There in the middle of a large expanse of cooled lava are footprints. Not just any footprints, but what appears to be a set of bare human footprints. Now, these impressions in the hard black surface look as if they were made when the lava was still molten, an impossibility for any living being to survive. I crouch down for a closer look, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. Well, the footprints are unmistakably human, each toe defined, the arch of a foot clearly visible. They lead away from the area where we found the camera and the backpack, weaving through the rough terrain. "Lani," I call out, my voice barely above a whisper, not wanting to believe what I'm seeing. She finishes her transmission and hurries over, her expression turning to one of disbelief as she takes in the sight. "How is this even possible?" she murmurs, echoing my thoughts. We gingerly follow the tracks. The trail of footprints leads us further away from the barren lava field, towards a region where the volcanic devastation blends back into the lush greenery of the park. The footprints become less distinct on the softer ground, but we continue, guided by broken twigs and disturbed earth. We push forward, our senses heightened. The forest around us is alive with the sounds of nature, but to our trained ears, it's what's not heard that speaks louder. The usual chatter of birds and rustle of small creatures seems muted, as if the forest itself is waiting for something. Then, through the dense undergrowth, I catch a glimpse of something unusual. It's a figure, humanoid in shape, but its movements are odd, almost erratic. The figure is covered in what looks like volcanic ash, giving it an eerie, ghost-like appearance. I instinctively reach out, gently touching Lani's arm to draw her attention. My gesture is subtle, a silent communication perfected over years of working together in these unpredictable environments. We both freeze, our bodies tensing as we observe the figure through the thick foliage. Lani's eyes meet mine, a mixture of confusion and caution reflected in her gaze. With a slight nod, we agree to approach carefully, mindful of the potential risks. The figure moves with an uncanny grace, almost floating across the forest floor. Its movements are fluid yet disjointed, creating an unreal image against the backdrop of the green forest. We inch closer, the air around us growing noticeably hotter, a stifling heat that seems to radiate from the figure itself. The ground beneath its feet is scorched, leaving a trail of smouldering embers and blackened earth in its wake. The underbrush, parched from the recent dry weather conditions, catches fire at the slightest touch of the entity's burning footsteps. The intensity of the heat emanating from the figure is like nothing I have ever experienced. It's as if the very essence of the volcano's core is encapsulated within its being. The dry underbrush ignites with alarming speed, the flames spreading rapidly through the dense vegetation. Lani and I exchange a look of alarm, realizing the danger we're in. The fire, spurred on by the hot, dry winds, quickly becomes a roaring blaze, consuming everything in its path. The forest around us transforms into a fiery hellscape within moments, The heat is suffocating, the air thick with smoke and the crackling of flames. We are forced to retreat, but the fire spreads with terrifying speed, cutting off our usual paths. Every direction seems to lead further into an inferno. We scramble over the rough terrain, the heat so intense it feels like our lungs are burning with each breath. We're both seasoned rangers, but this is beyond anything we've ever faced. I grab Lani's arm, pulling her away from a falling, flaming branch. We're running blind through the smoke, relying on instinct and our deep knowledge of the park's landscape. The visibility is near zero, the air a swirling mass of embers and ash. We stumble upon a narrow ravine, the only viable path away from the flames. The ground is uneven, treacherous with loose rocks and steep drops. We navigate it as quickly as we can, but it's like moving through molasses. Lani coughs violently, her face smeared with soot. I can see the fear in her eyes, a mirror of my own terror. "Keep moving," I shout, more to convince myself than her. Oh, the heat is relentless, an oppressive force that seems to press down on us from all sides. I can feel my skin burning, the heat searing through my clothes. My throat is parched, each breath a scorching gulp of hot air. Suddenly a loud crack resonates through the air, and a tree collapses mere feet in front of us, blocking our path. The flames leap higher, fed by the fresh fuel. I frantically look around, look for a way out, but the fire is closing in. In a desperate move, I lead us down a steep embankment, sliding and tumbling over rocks and debris. Lani follows without hesitation, trusting my lead. We land hard at the bottom, but there's no time to recover. We have to keep moving. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, we emerge from the smoke and flames, gasping for air. The world outside the fire zone seems eerily calm, as though unaware of the chaos we'd just escaped. We stumble back to our Land Rover, the vehicle a welcoming sight amongst the devastation. Part 2. Climbing in, I start the engine and we drive away from the inferno, putting distance between us and the haunting image of the fiery figure in the blazing forest. Lani, still coughing from the smoke inhalation, manages to grab the radio and report back to base. Her voice is hoarse but urgent as she relays the situation. "Base, this is Lennox. We've got a wildfire situation. The area around the Kalapana Trail is engulfed. We need immediate backup and fire containment units." The radio crackles to life and Captain Corsero's voice comes through, tense and authoritative. "Copy that, Lennox. We're mobilizing units now. Get to safety and stand by for further instructions." As I navigate the Land Rover through the park's winding paths, my mind races with thoughts of the figure we'd encountered. I glance over at Lani. She's deep in thought, her eyes distant. "What was that thing?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The image of the fiery figure, moving through the forest with an otherworldly grace, is seared into my mind. Well, she doesn't answer immediately, her gaze fixed on the passing landscape. Finally, she turns to me, her expression serious. I think it was a lava walker," she says. "Lava walker," I repeat, unfamiliar with the term. It sounds like something out of a myth or a horror story. "Yeah, I just made it up," Lani admits, a slight shrug accompanying her words. "It's like a skinwalker, but for volcanoes." "Seriously, Lani? Oh, come on." I can't help but let out a skeptical laugh. Lani gives me a look, one that's both challenging and serious. "Okay, wise guy, you come up with a better explanation. What else could it have been?" I open my mouth to retort, but the words falter on my lips. I don't know," I finally confess, the words tasting like defeat. The more I think about it, the more I realize that there are things in this world that defy conventional understanding. As we approach the rendezvous point, the distant wail of sirens grows louder, slicing through the tense silence inside the vehicle. The sight that greets us is a flurry of activity. Fire containment units, park rangers, and emergency vehicles converging at the edge of the expanding wildfire. Captain Corsero stands in the midst of it all, a commanding presence as he directs the operations. His face is set in grim determination. As we pull up, he turns, spotting us immediately. His expression softens for a moment with relief at seeing us safe, before returning to its previous intensity. "Yeah, you two all right?" he asks, eyeing our soot-covered faces and singed clothing. "Yeah, we're okay, Captain," Lani responds, her voice hoarse but steady. "We've got a serious situation. The fire is spreading fast, and there's something unusual about it." "Unusual?" he asks. I nod in agreement, still catching my breath. "Yeah, we saw something in the forest, sir. It's hard to explain, but it seemed to be causing the fire, moving through the trees like it was part of the flames." Corsero's brow furrows, a skeptical look crossing his face. Sounds like heat exhaustion, Saito. We need clear heads here." He gestures then to the medical tent. "Head over to the medics, get yourselves checked out. If you're fit, I need you back on the line. This fire's not going to control itself, and we need all hands on deck." After a brief rest and rehydration, we don our firefighting gear, feeling the weight of responsibility on our shoulders. The afternoon sky is aglow with the raging fire, casting an eerie light all over the park. We join a small team of rangers and firefighters, ready to venture into the heart of the wildfire. Helicopters and drones overhead coordinate our movement. But the journey is perilous. The air is thick with smoke, reducing visibility to mere feet. The heat is stifling, like walking through an open furnace. Embers whirl around us, carried by the hot winds, threatening to ignite anything remotely flammable. Suddenly, without warning, a massive flare-up erupts. A wall of fire explodes from the underbrush, fueled by a pocket of trapped gas. The force of the blaze is like a physical blow, knocking me off my feet. In the chaos, I'm separated from the rest of the team. I shout Lani's name, but my voice is lost in the cacophony of crackling flames and collapsing trees. Panic sets in as I realize I am alone. The heat is so intense, it feels like my skin is blistering through my protective gear. My breathing is the only sound that pierces the relentless roar of the flames. Each inhale and exhale echoes through my oxygen mask. The world around me is a terrifying landscape of fire and smoke. Trees, once towering and majestic, are now monstrous torches, their branches reaching out like fiery claws. I stumble over a fallen log, the wood crumbling under my weight, embers scattering like fiery rain. My heart pounds in my chest, a rapid drumbeat echoing the chaos around me. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot a figure moving through the flames. For a moment, I think it's Lani, but as it comes closer, I realize it's something else entirely. The figure moves with that eerie grace, untouched by the fire that ranges around it. As it approaches, the air around it seems to warp and ripple, the intense heat bending light itself. The flames seem to dance around it, converging into a swirling vortex of fire and ash. Just as the figure nears, a hand grabs mine, pulling me back to the harsh reality of the firestorm. I turn to see Lani, her face obscured by the visor of her protective gear. For a moment, in the surreal smoky haze, she looks alien, a creature from another world in her fire-resistant suit. But it's her grip, firm and reassuring, that grounds me, convincing me she's very much human. "Hey, we can't stay here." Her voice cuts through the roaring fire. The ground under our feet shifts unpredictably, the earth cracked and uneven from the intense heat. We dodge falling branches and leap over smoldering debris, the air thick with the acrid smell of burning wood and ash. As we navigate through the inferno, trying to stay ahead of the ever-advancing flames, a haunting sound pierces through the chaos. At first it seems like another trick of the fire, a howl of the wind perhaps, or the creaking of burning trees. But while we pause, panting and disoriented, the sound crystallizes into something unmistakably human. Voices, distant and ghostly, floating through the smoke. But the voices aren't speaking in English, nor in the familiar pidgin that's like second nature to us. Instead, they're in Hawaiian, the language of our ancestors, a language we've heard in school, in cultural celebrations, but never fully mastered. Despite our limited understanding, the tone of desperation is unmistakable. They're cries for help. The voices, haunting and persistent, draw us like a siren's call. We exchange a glance, the same thought mirrored in our eyes. We can't ignore this. We push forward towards the voices, time being our greatest enemy. The ground slopes sharply, leading us to a steep ravine that cuts through the park like a scar. It's a natural barrier, one that the fire hasn't yet crossed, but the flames are close, hungry licking at its edges. Lani and I cautiously approach the precipice of the ravine. The voices grow louder, clearer. They seem to be emanating from the depths of the ravine itself, rising up through the billowing smoke like a chorus of lost souls. Among the ghostly voices, Lani catches a word that sends a shiver down our spines. Kapu, she whispers, her voice tinged with fear. The ancient Hawaiian term for forbidden or sacred, reverberating through the fiery landscape, a warning unheeded by us until now. We stand frozen, the realization hitting us hard. We're on sacred ground, a place where the living are not meant to tread. The air grows heavy, charged with an otherworldly energy, as if the very spirits of the land are rising in anger against our intrusion. Suddenly, from the glow of molten rock and the charred remains of the forest, 3 figures emerge. At first they appear as mere distortions in the heated air, like mirages born of the fire. But as they draw closer, their forms become horrifyingly clear. The largest of the 3 lava walkers strides forward in a dominating presence. His body is a living tapestry of molten rock and fire. Flames lick across its surface, outlining muscles and limbs. Its eyes, glowing like coals, fix on us with an intensity that chills me to the core. Flanking the larger figure are 2 smaller ones, each moving with an eerie, fluid grace. Their childlike size gives me an unsettling feeling. The flames that envelop them cast their features into a grotesque, ever-changing dance of light and shadow. As they draw nearer, the terrifying truth dawns on us. These creatures, these lava walkers, are the missing family we've been searching for. The largest figure, the one that resembles a mother, extends a hand towards us. Her fingers, made of flowing lava and flickering flames, reach out in a gesture that's heartbreakingly human. Her eyes, glowing embers in a face of liquid rock, convey a mother's desperation. Even with our fire-resistant gear, we can feel our skin prickling painfully from the proximity. We back away slowly, our eyes locked on the haunting figures before us. An invisible barrier of heat pushes us back step by step. In our haste, we don't realize how close we are to the precipice. Lani stumbles, her foot slipping on the loose, ashy soil. For a heart-stopping moment, she teeters on the edge, her arms flailing for balance. Acting on instinct, I lunge forward, grabbing her firmly around the waist. With a desperate heave, I pull her back from the brink, both of us falling to the ground in a heap. I frantically search for any route of escape. Then my eyes catch a sight of a large, charred tree, its base weakened by the fire and the intense heat of the volcanic activity. I motion to Lani, pointing towards the tree. "Lani, the tree," I shout over the roar of the flames. Understanding flashes in our eyes, and without another word, we spring into action. I grab my chainsaw, and as I rev it up, the roar of its motor cuts through the crackling of the flames. A man-made growl against nature's fury. The chainsaw bites into the charred bark, sending a shower of embers into the air. I work quickly, the blade slicing through the weakened wood, the smell of burnt timber filling my nostrils. As the tree begins to give way, Lani braces herself against the trunk, using all her strength to guide it in the right direction. With a final, forceful push, the tree begins to topple. We both jump back as it crashes down, creating a makeshift bridge across the ravine. We scramble across the fallen tree, the wood creaking and groaning under our weight. We barely make it to the other side of the ravine when a heart-wrenching scene unfolds behind us. The earth, weakened by the intense heat and the ravages of the fire, can no longer support the lava walker's weight. The mother still reaching out towards us, and her two smaller companions are swallowed by the collapsing ground. They tumble into the abyss of the ravine, their forms dissolving into the molten rock below. A profound sadness grips me as I watch them disappear. Lani grabs my arm, pulling me away from the edge. "Koa, we have to keep moving," she urges, her voice thick with emotion. We move swiftly from the edge of the ravine, the heat of the inferno still pressing against our backs. Lani leads the way, her familiarity with the park's topography guiding us toward an elevated position, a rocky outcrop that offers a vantage point. As soon as we reach relative safety, still shaken by the harrowing sight of the lava walkers being swallowed by the earth, I pull out my radio, my hand still trembling from the intensity of what we just witnessed. I know our immediate priority is to prevent whatever is back there from spreading. "Base, this is Saito. We need immediate air support on these coordinates." I relay the exact location then of the ravine, emphasizing the necessity of a rapid response. The response from dispatch is swift and professional. "Copy that, Saito. Air support is en route. Hang tight and stay safe. Over." Pulling off our masks, we take in deep, desperate gulps of the fresher air now available. The sensation of breathing without the constraints of our gear is profoundly relieving. As we catch our breath, a faint distant hum grows progressively louder. I look up, straining my eyes against the smoke-filled sky. The sound intensifies, a deep resonating thrum that vibrates through the air. I catch the sight of the unmistakable silhouette of a C-130, its powerful engines cutting through the chaos of the wildfire. As the aircraft unleashes its payload onto the ravine, a cascade of fire retardant billows down in a massive cloud, blanketing the area in a surreal pink hue. The inferno below begins to subside under the deluge, the flames dampened by the torrent of chemicals. Lani then turns to me, her eyes reflecting a myriad of emotions. My hand reaches out, gently touching her cheek, smudged with soot and sweat. "Yeah, you okay?" I ask. Without saying a word, she pulls me close, her lips meeting mine in a passionate kiss. It's as if she's always wanted to do this. In the face of the unpredictable and fleeting nature of life, she seizes the opportunity, knowing it might never come again. As quickly as Lani kisses me, she pulls back, a flush of embarrassment coloring her cheeks. And she starts to apologize, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Oh, Koa, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, I just..." Before she can finish, I close the distance between us, returning her affections with equal fervor. The kiss filled with all the unsaid things, the emotions that have been simmering beneath the surface for far too long. The world around us seems to pause, the crackling of the fire and the distant sounds of the emergency response fading into the background. It's just Lani and me now, surrounded by the wake of our ordeal. In the aftermath of the wildfire, the efforts of the emergency response teams gradually bring the blaze under control. The raging flames that once threatened to consume everything in their path are reduced to smoldering ashes and charred remnants. The missing Jenkins family, Sarah, Tyler, and Ethan, are officially listed as tragic victims of the fire. Within the ranks of the Rangers and the emergency teams, whispers about the lava walkers circulated in hushed tones. But in the official reports, there's no mention of the mysterious figures we encountered. As the weeks pass and the charred landscape gradually begins its slow recovery, life for Lani and I returns to familiar rhythms, patrolling the trails, guiding tours, and educating visitors about the park's unique ecosystem and geological features. Though life has, seemingly, returned to its regular patterns, there's an undeniable shift between Lani and me that's impossible to ignore. In the quiet moments, when our glances meet, there are hints of something profound and unspoken that's blossomed between us. Well, despite everything that unfolded, I would never discourage anyone from visiting this majestic place. Kīlauea, with her raw and untamed beauty, holds a special kind of magic that everyone should witness at least once in their lifetime. So to those who wish to venture into Hawai'i volcanoes, I offer these words of advice. Respect the land and heed its warnings. And if, during your journey, you ever hear the forests whispering in Hawaiian, run. Well, all of you out there seem to remember the stories I've read much better than I do, to be honest with you. I guarantee I will have forgotten the content of this one by the time I've read the next story, to tell you the truth. I don't know what it is, but they just never stick with me. I think it's the intensity of being here and reading them that just, the brain just switches off from what is actually happening most of the time. Anyway, so tell me if I've ever done a Hawaii-based story before, because I don't think I have. I think that is the first time that we ventured to the islands. So hope you enjoyed that one. Another great story there from Page Turner 267. Thanks again for sharing that with me. It's not the first of your stories I've done. Always a joy, really interesting premises that you set up. And, well, just thought that one was a little bit freaky as well. So any thoughts, feelings you have about that story, let me know in the comments section below the video. Now, I did promise you that one last night, but as I mentioned before, I've got relatives staying. Things are a bit hectic. But bear with me. Regular service will be maintained as well as possible. So until the next time, my dear friends, remember it's just a story and you sleep well. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. Really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams. Bye-bye.